Hello, this is Perry over at Single Lifts. We're going to look at installing our pulleys in our pulley clusters on our G3 lifts. What you're going to need is you're going to need a hammer, a punch, and some type of clamp. It can be a C-clamp or some vice grip clamps like we got here. You're going to have 4 pulleys, 4-inch pulleys. You're going to have a pin. You're also going to have some shims that are made of 18 gauge and some thicker ones made of 14 gauge. And you're going to have a little pin here. So we're going to go ahead and demonstrate how to put this together. And you'll see on the bearings, there'll be what we call a bearing side, and there'll be a flange side. So we'll start putting this together. You're going to take your pin and a thin shim, which will be the 18 gauge shim. And then you're going to have your pulley, and you're going to put your pin in and put a thick shim here, and then put your bearing side down towards the cluster. Pop that on. Then you're going to take another thick shim, which is a 14 gauge. Again, your bearing side's going to go towards the cluster there, and just keep putting them in there. Another thick shim, another bearing side. Here we go. We got 3. Now we're going to put the 4th one in. Again, we're going to put it towards the bearing side. You're going to get a little tougher here. You might have to have 3 or 4 hands. Again, here we go. We're going to put it towards the bearing side. Push the pin up through here. Now your pin's up through there, but you still got some clearance issues right here where we're going to have to stick probably a thick and a thin shim to make up this difference. So I'm going to put a thick shim in there. And it gets a little tricky here. Put your finger in there, get that shim over there. We can get the pin, and we're going to get a thin one. We're going to make up that. We want to make up the difference between the pulley and the cluster frame. We're going to put a thin one in there with it. There we go, fill in that gap. And again, it gets a little tougher here because you have to get that in there. You might use a pick or something to help you. But there we go, you got that in there. Then we're going to run that pin up through here. There you go. Now you're going to see you've got a hole here. But also, if you'll notice, we still got some distance right in here, and we're going to clamp this together with the clamp, and we're going to pull that in tight because you see this lateral movement. We don't want that lateral movement. We want it to be pretty good and snug, and we'll show you. So we're going to clamp that tight and draw that in. Now you can see that lateral movement's gone, and these spin freely. So then we're just going to take the necessary shims. And let's turn that so I can see that. We're going to see, right, we're going to take, there's a thick shim. It's not quite enough, so now we're going to take maybe a thin shim. And we could probably go one more thin. There we go. Now we're going to put that pin in. And then that's all there is to it. You're going to need the hammer to drive that pin in. Then you're going to put your cables back on. And just make sure your cables are not crisscrossed when they go back on. But anyway, if you got any problems, give us a call here at Stinger, 800-854-4850, or visit us on the web at stingerlifts.com.